All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
And I come with a committed promise to be better than I've ever been.
Really?
I've taken the recent criticisms on board.
Oh, they're very recent.
I've also decided that, you know what, people are right. I'm too left-wing. I need to be far more...
You need to start hating women more, hating minorities more.
I need to watch a lot more Nigel Farage and Andrew Tate and just kind of get on board in that
I feel like,
sphere.
if anything, this feels like you're prepping for the overlords we might eventually have.
Well, I'm also well aware that any moment scandal could erupt. I just want to get out ahead of it, say that I've always been a Christian and a big fan of Jesus.
Yeah, just listen to our last episode where we talk about being the Pope, and
We did go on a religious tangent.
we did, yeah. I enjoyed that, though.
It was fun. It was educational.
I find it quite fascinating, the whole papacy thing, and I think anything with a lot of history and ceremony I find quite interesting.
I think religious in the upper echelons of religion in general I find interesting, because there's always, you know, no matter how it's the word of God, it's the teachings of God, or in whatever monotheistic religion, but ultimately it's the fallacy of man that interprets the word of God. It's the fallacy of man that's responsible for perpetuating the word of God.
Interprets it differently, don't they?
Yeah, I read it.
I hear about Christian. Have you read the Bible?
Most of it. You know what? I'm near the end. Don't spoil it.
I can't help but do it, mate. He dies.
What?
But don't worry, like Jon Snow, he comes back.
Oh, thank God. I mean, literally.
Yeah. Thank you, Father.
Do you know what? This is the thing, right? This is the discussion that's been had before. They say Jesus died for our sins.
Yeah.
But if he comes back, he didn't really sacrifice anything.
No, but he went through a lot. Do you know what I mean?
It was shit.
I wouldn't want to be crucified for anyone.
No. And I'm thankful.
Let alone for everyone.
The only way you can be crucified now is in a figurative manner online.
Yeah, if you're a man that gets wrongly prejudiced against, do you know what I mean? All he did was wank in front of women. Do you know what I mean? Who hasn't? Who hasn't?
Let he who has not wanked in front of women
Not
be the
cast
first.
Cast the first jizz.
I've read a few Bible passages, to be fair.
And I'm constantly coveting my neighbour's wife. I know I shouldn't.
She's hot.
But
listen,
look,
I get it.
when you're living next door to Kate Beckinsale, what do you expect me to do?
And she cooks. You get the smells of the
Do
kitchen.
you know what I mean?
How could you not?
Yeah, it's like, I've never understood why people don't like people from other ethnic backgrounds moving into their area, because I love the smell of the food. Do you know what I mean?
Just love I'm so glad that we live in London, where you can go down any street and just have a string of multi-ethnic food options available to you. And like you said, the smells coming from these places are incredible. And
but we still haven't nailed barbecuing in this country now, with the summer coming up.
Well, do you know what the problem is I think it's a big error, I think, in most households, and maybe it's changing with the changing values of the modern man and the modern people, you know, the next generation.
I'm ready for it.
Right. Barbecues tend to be something that the man steps up, he's decided this is my domain. But the man has not cooked for most of the year. He's very inexperienced.
Well, and also it's always last minute. Like, we don't know the sun's coming, and even when we
see it, we're like,
the
go,
sun's
go,
coming,
go.
we don't believe it. So until the day, it's the same as like the two certainties of a British summer is people are going to flock to the seaside and have a barbecue.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's always slapdash. It's a burnt sausage. It's chicken skewers that haven't been marinated for long enough.
Well, that's it. To quote Gavin and Stacey, it's like, are we going to do barbecue properly, or is it just going to be a couple of sausages and burger patties?
There's a lot.
Talking chicken, prawns, you know, the full thing.
Yeah.
They're right.
I'm talking marinades.
Yeah, corn on the cob.
And these things take time. Like, when I watch American barbecue stuff, by the way, there's a fantastic show on Netflix called American Barbecue Showdown. I couldn't recommend it more highly, but it does make you hungry watching it. But all of it takes time.
Do you know what I would still say? I've never, like...
And you've got to experience it,
and
you
look,
bastard.
I was going to say, I've consumed a lot of porn in my life.
Go on. I'd like to know how this connects.
Nothing has ever excited me as much as the view and the smells of
midget porn.
No, the pit when we went to the Texan in Austin.
You went to the place from Man vs.
And you
Food.
can see the pit. You can see it there.
Yeah.
You've got the meat on the grill. The sausage is hanging. It is fucking orgasmic. And then because it's always cooking, the service is like that.
When I decided I wasn't coming on that trip with you and Ash,
that's the one you missed.
Knowing the level of food I was going to be missing out on, and as people watching this, like if you're just an audio listener, you would have got the impression I'm overweight. But if you're watching YouTube, you know it for a certain.
It's so funny. So
Imagine how I feel.
I was at my lowest just before we went to America.
Really?
And I can tell you exactly how much I weighed.
Yeah.
I have still never recovered from the American trip.
Really?
But
What,
it's
never
4
got?
weeks of
Oh,
just
by lowest you mean in terms of your weight?
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, not
Right.
emotionally. Like
Right, I thought
physically.
that's what you meant.
No, physically, I was at the lowest.
Was that your lowest?
Yeah, as an adult, I think.
Really? I would have thought it was more recently when you lost weight.
No, I was 8 stone 12
No.
just before I went.
Surely that's
to
not
America.
healthy though.
Yeah, it's fine. It's very healthy.
Right.
Never because 4 weeks of just indulgent,
Yeah.
or overindulgence. It was
How
the
much did you
snacks. It
put
was
on?
everything. I didn't.
Oh,
I wasn't
okay,
cruel
fair
enough to do that.
Yeah.
But then I just kind of
I mean,
never
that was probably
recovered.
the move to go there at your skinniest.
Yeah. Oh, if I'd have gone there
Well,
any
I
heavier,
probably wouldn't have come back. I'd have died out.
famously you did. You did
I
die
mean,
out
yeah,
there.
but that was under suspicious circumstances.
We told you not to swim in the ocean straight after lunch. You swam in the ocean straight
But
after
like
lunch.
Jesus, I rose again.
Actually, didn't you? In a bin in California somewhere. You're literally in like a landfill
Yeah,
on the East Coast.
I've probably degraded by now. I'd have thought.
You could never degrade that bad boy. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I just love the fact some random Americans, when they received it, were like, "He must be famous."
They
Take
opened it.
selfies."
It's like, why did they open it? It wasn't theirs.
To be fair, how many people have cardboard cutouts of their mate?
Well, yeah, okay, fair point.
Like, yeah, they must have thought this guy's famous.
They were like, we don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
We were like, he's
I
our
mean, like, look,
friend.
I'm
like,
a handsome
bro.
man. I can understand seeing it. They were like, "My God, he must be."
It was honestly, I think genuinely, I've said it before. I think the first night. No, I tell you when it was. It was in North Carolina. It was when we were in the trailer park where the dude was just super friendly. Someone had literally just left, so we got so lucky on that trip. By the
Yeah.
way, because we went in so unprepared and we were just like, we'll wing it. And in a way, it sort of worked
Can I
out.
tell you something?
Doesn't surprise you.
Knowing you and Ash the way I do, that doesn't shock me.
But we kind of went, do you know what? It was that night, and I just remember looking at it and being like, I can't kill it. I can't kill it. We'd done a night in Maryland already.
Kill what?
You know, I can't let it
Oh,
die. The
cardboard
cutout.
cutout.
And I just thought, because we always had this plan, we're like, it's not coming home with us. We're just going to let it die
I
at the end
still
of the
think you
trip.
could have got it in your luggage.
And I just looked at it there in the trailer that night and in the RV, and I was like, I can't let anything happen to this. This is my best. I love this. It's the best thing I've ever bought in my life.
Just think it could have been in the background of every episode of the podcast since.
I would imagine that probably maybe like 15%, and I'm trying to be as realistic as possible, 15% of the conversations that me and Ash shared over the whole of that trip, 4 weeks together,
Or about.
almost non-stop, were gushing about how much we loved the cutout and how it was the best thing we'd ever bought.
Really?
Honestly, it came up so much. Every time one of us caught glimpse of it, we'd be like, I love this thing. It's just amazing.
It's all the benefits. We get to look at how handsome he is,
Like,
but don't have
honestly,
to listen to any of
If
his
you've
nonsense.
never bought a cardboard cutout of your mate,
Yeah.
do it. It's honestly one of the best
Do you
purchases
think it
you'll
made
ever
you happier than if I'd have actually been?
Honestly, and I mean no disrespect to
Probably.
this, yes, I think it did. Like, I love you, and I would have loved to have you
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
pit, and I would have loved to have shared those memories with you,
Yeah.
but nothing has ever given me as much joy as that cutout.
Yeah. Well, it's a massive talking point. Do you know what I mean?
It's very much an elephant in the room.
Yeah. And I imagine, like, when you got it out to take photos and people saw it publicly, I'd love to know what they thought.
Oh, so would I.
Yeah.
We should have done more with it. To be honest, it was one of those things, we had 2 or 3 things that we were going to do, not just with the cutout, and we just kind of kept forgetting, because we're both, I don't know, borderline minimalist, I suppose, when we go
Yeah.
out and about. We literally just like phone, wallet, keys, that's it. And
Well, it's not an easy thing to transport. Is it?
well, no, but we were going to do like we bought a GoPro and we were going to film.
I remember
bits
you were
of
going to
it.
make like a documentary.
We were going
almost
to
of
do
it.
like a little vlog or just a film. We were undecided, but we were like, let's just get the raw footage anyway. And we just never brought it out. We just never. It never occurred to us to do it. It's the same with the cutout.
That's
We
another
had
regret. We could have
We
been
just
like
never took it.
podcasting while we were out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been special.
But you know,
Anyway, that was another trip. That was in the past.
I enjoyed that.
That's
was
in the
nice.
past.
I like it.
Welcome to this week.
Welcome.
What are we here to discuss?
What would you like to discuss? I'm throwing it straight back at you.
Wow. It's not often that I come with the things. What would you want? Do you want something a bit fun or a bit not fun?
Not fun first. Let's give me the veggies before the dessert.
Okay, something not fun, because I've got a lot of fun stuff. Well, let's talk a little bit about Mahmoud Khalil,
You might need to
if we
explain more.
may. I will. So, for those who don't know, Mahmoud Khalil is, I believe he was adopted by Syrians, born to a Palestinian.
Okay.
Very, very clever chap. He's got degrees. He's got degrees from England. He was studying for like a postgraduate degree at Columbia University in America, and he was a big part of. They were doing these huge sit-ins, these for Palestine.
Okay.
So they student protests. He now has been detained by the immigration team.
What, here?
In America.
Okay.
He's also, by the way, he's met a woman over there. She's like 6 months pregnant or something. They've very much started a life together over there. They've detained him, and they're threatening to deport him, because they considered him to be, presumably Syria, I guess, would have been where his parent, but they're threatening to deport him because they consider him to be a threat to the public peace and to public. What did they say? They said he's a threat to the relationship between America and Israel.
Right.
Something to that effect. He's not committed a crime. He's here perfectly legally.
Is he critical of the relationship between Israel and the USA, I'm assuming?
Oh, well, yeah, you've got to assume that that's part. But all he did was attend and be quite a prominent figure in student protests in this sit-in. They just camped out,
really,
in protest, and it got big. And there's been a march this weekend in New York to show their support for him. It's just very funny, isn't it, that once again it's the party of free speech detaining someone whose only crime is to take a political stance that differs to theirs.
They have the audacity to say that we're locking people up for posting memes.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they hear the story of the woman who called for people to burn down the hotels, and she goes to prison, which I think is absolutely right. Because for me,
she's encouraging violence.
That's not a free speech issue. She's inciting violence.
Yeah.
So, like, we draw the line at that. So, yeah, she's broken the law and she should go to fucking jail. But America see that and spin it as she's going to prison for posting a meme. And it's just... So, yeah, to then hear that they're behaving like that's ridiculous. But sadly, not that surprising.
No. And again, it's something that's very common with dictatorships and fascist regimes, is the silent removal of people who disagree with them with no actual crimes or evidence against them.
For like a bit of balance, to be fair as well, this isn't me necessarily judging America, because we're in a position where Labour haven't rolled back any of the anti-protest laws that were brought in by the Tories, have they?
No.
Because the thing is, once government has the power to restrict things like that, why on earth would they? Especially if they weren't the ones that introduced it, so they're not going to get the flack for introducing it.
But like you said, they really should be copping the flack for keeping it.
Absolutely. But to be honest, I mean, I look at our country at the moment, and like we sort of texted about it off pod about the fact that...
See, we are friends.
A Labour government is going to go after people with benefits.
Yeah.
And
cutting benefits at the bottom as well, not even like at the top.
And weirdly, I ended up in a conversation with Grok. Have you ever used it?
No, because I don't go anywhere near that AI stuff. If AI is part of things that I use, fine. But I refuse to use ChatGPT. But I refuse to use Grok or ChatGPT or any of that stuff. I'm not going near it.
I found it
on
interesting.
principle.
It's the first time I'd ever used AI. And I was genuinely sat there, I was like, how do we end up in a situation where we all know where the money is? Like, it's there. Like, they like to pretend that, there's not a magical money trick. The fucking is, by the way. It's called the super wealthy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but the answer constantly is, well, let's go after working people and people at the lower end of the scale. I mean, and we've talked about so many times, like, you look at France, for example, and they try and lengthen the retirement age or put it up. The French people destroy Paris in response to that. Whereas we just sit and fucking take it. And I'm like, at what point
do we actually riot?
Yeah, like, is it when we all start dying? Like, is that how far it's got to go? And even then, I sort of doubt whether en masse we'd all do anything about it. But yeah, I mean, I just look at it and so I asked Grok, like, why does this keep happening? Why is the answer always
attack the poor?
Yeah, and basically the answer it gave back. I mean, I knew the answers, but it was interesting to see it all laid out. And it was basically, it was like threefold. It's an expensive thing to do. The rich will do everything in their power to avoid it, to make it more difficult, making it cost more. And also, for some reason, politically, it's a landmine, whether it's the general public not supporting it, which I don't understand, or the rich themselves opposing it through the media. Like, and it used Rupert Murdoch as an example. Rupert Murdoch wouldn't want a wealth tax being introduced, so he would put all of his resources into making that not happen.
I think as well with people on the
but I did just find it funny that I actually said it to it. I'm having this conversation with a machine that's owned by a billionaire who's used his wealth to spread a certain narrative.
Oh yeah, Grok sold him out a bunch of times, according people.
Oh no, totally. Grok, well, that is because I was curious to see how unbiased it was. And it wasn't biased at all, to be fair.
I think there's I've always think it's an unfair stigma about people on the dole, to quote, to use a phrase. But I think it's really different these days because I think now more than ever, inflation of cost of living is rising and has risen such an exponential rate compared to wages, which have been stagnant for 10, 15 years at least.
Yeah.
Longer in terms of real world inflation and keeping up with it, that I think more people than ever are having to top up a wage, are in full-time work, and still not meeting the minimum required and having to top it up. And I think that's always been the case. There've always been those people, but I think now in 2025 there's more of that happening than ever before, and therefore I think the stigma about people on the dole being lazy dossers who are out of work and whatever is just, and the stats back it up, by the way, that there are more people, there are a large percentage of people claiming benefits are in work.
Yeah.
There's actually a very small number of people who are claiming benefits who are not in work, who can work, because the other large number of people who are claiming benefits are unable to work. So you've got those who can't work, those who are working, and then there are those that can, that aren't, a very, very small number. So I just think the stigma around it all, which still perpetuates and helps the government get away with policies like this, is just wrong.
Understand how people fall for it, though. Do you know what I mean? Because and it works with people that are actually suffering as well. Like, I work with a guy who's got MS, and one day random, because he's always telling me about how, and I know from personal experience through people I know who've had to claim benefits and PIP and things like that, how dehumanising these things are. And he's always telling me how difficult it is as well. But one day he started saying, and this was under the Conservatives at the time, that they were talking about going after benefit scroungers and benefit fraudsters and all of that. And he was sort of saying, oh, good on them, making it more difficult because it's going to stop these people ruining it for everyone else. And I sort of said to him, and he asked me if I agreed, and I was like, no, I don't. And I actually think it's sad that you feel that way. And he was like, why? And I said, because and I'd looked it up at the time, it was something like 0.3%. It's the level of
fraudulent
benefit.
Claims, yeah.
And I was like, look, I'm not saying people should be allowed to just get away with that. Of course they shouldn't. But at such a minute level, to then make it more difficult for everyone, when you yourself have told me how difficult it is to get the benefits in the first place, and you're someone who's genuinely suffering, I would far rather we had a 2, 3, 4, 5% even. I'm thinking, like, if you get closer to 10, it's a real problem.
No, but I know what you're saying. You'd rather make it easier and more accessible to everyone and have a higher fraudulent claim.
That actually need help, like him,
are getting
the help they need. And he didn't really know what to say in response, and the conversation ended quite quickly. But that scared the shit out of me. In another similar situation, I think I've said on the pod before, was there was a lady of Tamil descent that I work with, and she was talking about how there's too many immigrants coming to the country. And it was like, you're a fucking immigrant. Like, and your spout, that's the thing. If the people that are actually part of that minority group are backing what...
I remember when Brexit came about, and I worked with a Portuguese guy,
Yeah.
a Jamaican guy, and an Italian guy, 2 of which are obviously from EU countries.
Yeah.
They were the biggest complainers in the company about immigration.
Really?
And it was like, and they're not like second generation, but like they literally came themselves. They came themselves. They emigrated themselves. And it was like, you cannot be actually serious to standing here telling me it. But it's so common.
But I don't understand how that works, though. Do you know, I don't understand how they get there.
It's the whole pull the ladder up after yourself mentality, isn't it?
That they're just afraid that it's going to end for all of them if too many come.
We've said it before. If someone has more, I have less.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And look, and I get it. If you're working, you're slaving your arse off and just about making ends meet. You don't want to look at someone who's not working, doing just as well. They might not be making as much, but their bills are subsidised.
As we know, most people on benefits aren't living the life of rightly.
Oh God,
there's some out there that you see them and you're like, oh, then they haven't got a bad life. Do you know what I mean? But most people on benefits are too unwell to work, and you wouldn't want their life.
No, God,
for the money that they get.
God, no. The 2 or 3 people that I know that claim benefits either as a top up or as a long term thing, I wouldn't want to trade. Like, I've got a lot of time from a lot of love for them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to trade lives with them. Certainly not right now.
And like with what they have to go through just to get the. And
I claimed benefits maybe, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you now, I hated it.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated it. The experience was properly, when I've, and it's only gotten worse, but when I say it was demeaning and demoralising, and basically they treat you at every step like you are a guilty criminal and like you're an idiot. Now, I'm sure they get a lot of people who maybe, but I hated it. I really hated it. And the second I was able to get into employment, and it wasn't even like full-time employment, I actually went into part-time employment, but it was enough that I was earning that I could actually go, do you know what, I'll get by.
Yeah.
Obviously at the time I was living, I was heavily subsidised by my parents and stuff, so it was a bit easier. But the second I was earning enough that I was like, no, I can get by, I sacked that shit off. I didn't even bother trying claiming it to top up, even though it's there and it's like it's easy to do, and I could have done it. I would have qualified. I was like, I'm going nowhere near it. It's fucking horrible, and I don't want nothing to do with it.
It's a big reason why. Like, because recently, I mean, I'm not earning as much as I used to, and I've considered applying for it, and then I look at it and I'm like, I just don't want to have to go through it for what won't be a lot of money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a huge myth.
And weirdly, like, because we've worked, we can't claim it for as long. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would get maybe a year of benefit payments and then it would stop. And it's like, but I've worked my whole, like, far longer than that. Do you know what I mean? Like, my whole life. Not my whole life, obviously.
No, but it's a shit system.
I've worked about coming up on 17 years now. So, and I think I've only had a 6-month period off in that time.
It's a shit period.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think what didn't help as well was that I was one of the sort of blocks of me getting back into work, that I was going through a bout of depression, and I didn't know it at the time. Yeah. It was only once I got out of it that I looked back and realised how bad I was.
That's not uncommon either, though, is it?
So that wouldn't have helped me. And that's the other thing, that certainly didn't help my self-worth and my self-esteem, claiming it and going through all that and being told you're treated like a criminal and treated like an idiot.
Well, because you're asking for charity, essentially, aren't you? You're asking for help, and it never feels good having to do that.
No, and not of it. Yeah, most
and
people
because
aren't
of the
good at
stigma around it, you don't want to be seen as someone who needs that help.
No, but it's a horrible process, and I wouldn't recommend any. If you can avoid going on it, as much as I'm all for trying to live the life you can live, and getting every penny that you can to help you best you can to survive. Like, if you can avoid it, just fucking avoid it, man. It's shit. It's horrible.
Yeah. And then, as we've said, you can end up in a situation where randomly, for no reason, your benefits get stopped. They can't tell you why. It's multiple months to find out what's happened for them to say, oh yeah, in a month you'll start getting it again. And like, what were you meant to do in the meantime?
And do you know what I've just realised? What happened as well was there was a period where I did a job in that, because you can't say no to a job. If someone offers you work, you've got to take it. It was the dodgiest. It was like proper backhand, cash in hand. The tax man knows nothing about this.
Yeah.
we're going to cut every safety corner we possibly. It was one of the dodgiest places I've ever worked. I literally only did a week there, and I was like, I'm not going back there. And then I went back in to to carry on claiming kind of thing, and they were like, so I properly had to fight for it because he was like, you had this employment. I was like, it's so fucking dodgy. I was like, it was unsafe to work there. It was like, I'm not going back there, and I really put my foot down. I was like, I don't care if you have to stop the payments. I was like, I'm not working there. You can't make that a fucking option that you have to do it. I was like, no. Eventually the guy acquiesced, but to be honest with you, that guy I think was very much towards the end of his time in the job centre. And I think he was very much like apathy had taken over.
I don't think I've ever met someone who's happy that works in it. There's people that work for those departments that genuinely care about the job and want to help people find employment, but I'm yet to have met any of them. Do you know what I mean?
And the tick boxes they've got to go through, it's like, the story in the paper the other day, or the radio, I've read about, heard and read sort of like 4 or 5 stories in the last few days about it. But the bloke who's a double amputee, and they were like, can you read? And he was like, what? He's like, what's that got to do with my claim? Like the complete, and she's like, it's on the book. And he was like, okay, yeah. And she was like, what do you read? And he was like, what? And he was like, magazines, books. And he went, are you serious? And she went, I've got to ask a question. He went, yeah, do you know what? I've recently been reading this book about how to run a long distance marathon, and I've been getting like athletes magazines weekly.
Yeah.
And she was like, really? Because it says here you can't really walk. And he was like, well, you got to have dreams. And it was just like, that's just you asking dumb it, And also the fact they even check up on these claims for someone like that, when it's a disability claim and you've, like, for example, had both your legs amputated, they don't grow back.
Yeah.
Okay, that claim's not going away.
No.
Do if someone's got a long-term illness, they don't recover from it.
No.
Like MS. No one's getting over MS. Do you know what I mean?
You're only going to get worse.
It's just ridiculous.
And I heard an interesting argument about the cutting of benefits and social care and things like that, that we see it as a cost rather than as an investment or a service. Like, and the way they explained it was really good in terms of, like, if you get rid of the funding for carers for disabled people, for example, or for a threshold of a certain threshold, that need for care doesn't go anywhere. It just gets transferred elsewhere, and normally that's on the family. So now, all right, you might have saved the money on the cost of that carer, but now that family member's going to have to claim carer's allowance because they now had to quit their job and look after whoever it is.
Yep.
And it's all just
somewhere the money's got to come from, and it's going to come from the government 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. And it's all it's bullshit, it's smoke and mirrors, and it feels like, to be honest with you, just a continuation of Labour being desperate to
appeal to the Tory voters.
Yeah, and the Reform voters.
Yeah, Reform who may well be an MP down sooner rather than later. I
saw that was fantastic, by the way? Farage was claiming that 20 million immigrants over 10 years or something, or 20 years, something like that, was too many people. And then said, our party, if we got into power, would allow 50,000 a year for 20 years. It's the same number. It was 10 million or something, like it was the exact same number, and it was like, so it's all just bollocks, smoke and mirrors, and do you know what I mean? No matter who it is. And, like, to be honest with you, I think Labour are completely indefensible now, and I just
Well, it's funny whenever you hear anyone talk about, the left moaning about this, and it's like Labour aren't on the left. No. Anyone with half a brain or half a political knowledge, like, I'm not the most in-depth, I don't have the most in-depth political knowledge. I'm not that much in the know.
But I know that.
But I have enough to know that Labour are very much not on the left.
No. No.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I didn't think we talked so much about benefits.
No, me neither, to be fair.
I wonder if there's a department or a claim that we can put in for subsidising a podcast.
That would be nice.
Do you know what I mean? Because you need equipment upkeep.
100%.
We're taking time off to do this.
I actually asked Grok, I tagged the podcast because you can do that so it knows what you're talking about. And I was like, what would you advise for Crossing Swords?
What did Grok say? Are you telling me off air?
No, I can tell you on it. It was find a niche. Lean into our strengths, which was being two friends, being humorous. Use clips, and if we've got the budget, upgrade equipment and advertise.
I mean, okay, we'll listen to 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
To be honest.
Yeah, pretty standard.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grok.
Yeah. That's Grok for you. All right, I think that's enough of the depressing stuff.
Why is Elon so shit with names?
What, Grok?
Grok.
I'm sure it stands for something.
You know, Zephilia Diggity 1995 or whatever his kids are called.
It was like AEX.
Oh, he's Xeon Flux or something. Yeah.
Apparently it was, the AE was something.
Xeon Flux. Like,
but the second part was his favourite fighter jet.
Of course. But what, like, why is he so, an X? What was his obsession with X?
I don't know. You'd have to ask.
Tried to rename PayPal. Tried to rename Tesla.
Yeah.
And ended up just getting a Model X.
I didn't realise when he took over Tesla in a hostile fashion, part of the contract when he did so was that they had to recognise him as a co-founder, even though he was absolutely
he had
not
nothing
a
to do with
co-founder.
it.
So that's why the narrative of him being one of the founders of Tesla exists, because he willed it into existence.
Did you see Trump having all the Teslas on the White House lawn the
I
other
heard
day?
about it, but I didn't see it.
And he's got like a sheet in his hand with like all the list of prices and stuff, and he sort of gets in. He's like, "It's very nice. It's a good car. It's very nice.
It's the best."
It's fucking weird, that relationship.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they've obviously.
It's also going to doom us all.
I think there's agreements in place because he's losing money hand over fist at the moment, Elon, isn't he? He's losing something like $1 million.
Oh no!
a
Did you
day.
see Trump saying that people are illegally boycotting Tesla? How can you illegally boycott something? And yet,
I just think the bloke's a prick.
And yet, when he was asking people to when he was asking people to boycott certain left-leaning people like Ben and Jerry's,
Absolutely fine.
That's legal. That's perfectly legal.
Of course it is.
Anyway, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, we could spend here all day talking about the hypocrisy of
Donald J.
The
Donald.
It's fake news.
Okay. Sure. Anyway,
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
One of the weirdest things. And then when he was like, "Oh,
But
all
he
the
wasn't
birds,"
talking about the Chinese,
but
which
then
was
he
the
went.
weirdest part.
Then he went, "All the birds have flown away," and it's like, "Yeah, that's what they do. They emigrate south.
They've
but
migrated.
They've migrated.
This
That's
has
what they
never
do."
happened. Brother,
Oh no, why would you do that? I've literally just moved away from it, you son of a bitch.
Brother,
That's what I think to your fucking use of it as well.
Brother, I'm fast as fuck, boy.
No, I'm not doing it. It's already done.
Right, what could we talk about, Jake? Honestly, you there's one thing you like to get on your soapbox about on Twitter that gets on my nerves. Because it's always to do with betting and football.
Okay, yeah.
And the thing is, what I'm going to
I think what it is, can I just say, I don't tweet often anymore. So when I do it probably is about the same subjects.
You tweet more than I do.
Yeah, more than you do, but I don't tweet often. Maybe once a week. No, honestly,
you tweeted
but I
like
don't.
4 times in the last 24 hours.
I tweeted a lot today, yeah.
Except for when you don't tweet a lot.
Go on.
On a day that has day in it,
Go on.
you tweet. I can't remember what I was saying now.
Apparently I tweet a lot about sports betting.
Well, not a lot, but you like to do it.
I find the hypocrisy maddening.
No, look, I think they should get rid of betting completely from football. Couldn't
I agree.
more.
I'm a big part of the campaign.
But I just don't think it's a good enough excuse for the behaviour some of these players do.
No, I'm not.
Like Lucas Paqueta hasn't been spot fixing because there's advertising for gambling in football. Do you know what I mean? And I know that's not the argument you're making, but when you bring it up every single time a player's going to get banned for it, I'm like, it feels like we're excusing
Well, I
it.
just, like with the spot fixing that, like I said, and I'm not condoning the behaviour at all, but I find it hard for us to sit here and say to someone, naughty boy, you can't bet, when they literally, every time they step out onto a pitch, they're surrounded by betting ads. They wear betting ads on their training kits, on their match day shirts. So every day they're wearing and they're looking at other people wearing betting ads. They're in competitions that are betting ads. They win player awards that are betting ads. They stand up and hold Player of the Month awards or Goal of the Month awards that are betting sponsors.
Yeah.
It's literally everywhere. So how can I find it like we shouldn't be criticising these players for doing something that is otherwise, that they're otherwise encouraging everyone else to do. It's like, go and gamble, everyone gamble, go and bet, not you.
Yeah. Because and to be honest, because for me, if it was happening at the lower end of football, I'd agree with your argument more. But the players that are getting caught for it aren't poor.
Yeah, but when you go to the lower end of football, have you seen what the advertising hordes say?
Yeah, but normally...
They've got local building firms and plumbers on it. They're not Sky Bet, aren't
Yeah, but that's because half of the players at that level are still working in construction.
Sky Bet and GP Bet
no,
or
but
whatever.
literally,
Down
the
in
lower leagues, it's to Sky Bet.
It's the Sky Bet football league, yeah.
But their players aren't getting caught for spot fixing or their family members betting for them. Or
well, I think there's just as much betting. No, like spot fixing is completely different, by the way.
For
but
me,
in terms
the
of
fact
players
he's been
getting
spot
caught betting,
fixing is so irrelevant from gambling being in football. He's just a dickhead. Do you know what I mean?
He's an idiot.
And for me, you're bringing not just the reputation of football into disrepute. You're bringing the integrity of results into disrepute. Because if that's going on, it's not hard to believe that match fixing's going on.
Well, bloody hell, did you see Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid last night?
No, I didn't. I fell asleep.
So the penalty shootout, right?
Oh, I've seen
Julian
the
Alvarez.
double kick.
I don't think he did double kick it.
I think he did.
I don't think he did double tap
From what
it.
I saw,
I don't think.
Both angles I've seen it from, for me, particularly the one from the side of where his feet are open, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You can visibly see just as it hits the foot.
I couldn't see any contact.
You absolutely can.
No, I don't think
the ball
can.
literally moves away from him and then forward.
I didn't see any contact, and I'm not saying there isn't any, but I don't think there's anything conclusive in that you can look at that and go.
I don't know. Literally immediately when I saw it, I was like, "That's a double kick."
No, I watched it and I was like, "I'm not sure." Watched it again from the other angle in the slow motion stuff. I'm like, I don't see it, because at first I was like, maybe he rolled it onto his foot, and I was like, I don't.
No,
he just did it.
What it looks to me like is the foot gets the foot that slips.
The slip foot knocks the ball
just slightly before.
I just don't see any contact from the slip foot.
Yeah, we're all blind.
Brilliant.
Well, look, it's the same as that fucking dress thing. We both saw opposites for that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What are we talking about?
Lucas Paqueta being a dickhead.
Yeah, Lucas Paqueta.
And I'm sorry, I don't believe. Look, it's massively unfair for me to say this because I'm not in his shoes. But Ivan Toney is not addicted to betting. He's addicted to being a dickhead. Do you know what I mean?
That's an opinion. That's your take. That's just like your
just
opinion.
Think he's a money grabbing wanker. So why he's gone immediately out to Saudi Arabia?
I think as well. Do you know what? I think with the Paqueta thing as well, like it would have just been really funny if he was like, do you know, if I'm going to get a 10-year ban anyway, I'm not going to come back and play. He's going to be what, like 38 or something by the time he comes back into it. And he's going to have to retrain and get up. So I just think he might as well make his family a lot more money, do one more yellow card.
Yeah.
One more on purpose, make his family a bit of money. You know, what are they going to do? Ban him even more?
Because he won't get the winnings then, will he?
Why would he not get the winnings?
What do you mean? What, he's under suspicion for spot
You find someone new.
Like, no, but it would be flagged because the biggest bet in ages on a yellow card suddenly takes place involving Lucas Paqueta.
Well, then do one that says, you know, like Lucas Paqueta 2+ shots, not even on target, and he just rifles them from 50 yards out.
Yeah, but again, because it's him, there's nothing he could do that's ridiculous on a football pitch that people wouldn't immediately go, he's done that deliberately, hasn't he?
But why was he not? Why would they? They'd pay out if you and I bet on it.
I actually think it would get queried, and I think we'd then get investigated. And I think you underestimate how much.
See the woman who took.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
You underestimate how much betting companies do not want to pay out winnings.
No, they do not want to pay out winnings.
Like that, I don't know how much was it she won, and was it
£1 million
quid? Yeah,
£1 million, and they wanted to pay like
£10,000.
Yeah.
Mate, you would take them to court for
fucking
that.
right, I would.
But the solicitors would take half of it. Do you know what I mean?
And they were all like, oh, buried in the T's and C's and all this, that and the other. And the judge just kind of went, nah, mate. You put up a thing on her phone screen that said, if you win this next round, you've won £1 million. Yeah. She won. Well done, you've won £1 million. And then immediately...
Yeah, wasn't it a casino game?
Yeah, it was like a betting game. Like a...
Yeah. The thing is, I don't understand that. Like, I would never use like an electrical gambling machine.
I have.
Yeah, but you... For a bit of a laugh, fine. But if you actually think you're going to win a significant amount of money, you're just not, are you?
No, I'm not doing it to make money. You don't gamble to make money.
I don't know, I do.
How much have you made?
This season, not as much. But last season, genuinely, I made a nice little income every month from...
You were up?
Yeah. I think I started off with £10 in my betting account and I would build it up. I think the first time I got it to nearly 100. What I was doing was the snowball bet. Do you know what I mean? Like
You 10 into 20, then you bet the 20. Then
100%. Whatever I won, it all went back into the next bet. And I got to 100 quid. I wasn't sure what to do, and I decided to just go for it. And I did that thing where, because the way I sort of go about it is I'll look at the results, or look at the games rather beforehand, whatever feels like the most realistic result. And I don't put a lot down. I put those results on. I never go above three team accumulators now.
Well, this is the thing, right? I'm maybe it's the ADHD in me, but I want it to be exciting. Sometimes I'll top up my account by just doing really small. Yeah, but
if you're sensible.
No, and look, sometimes I'll do little evens bets or even odds on favourite bets. Just certain ones that are going to almost guaranteed to come in.
And I would say
nothing's guaranteed.
Last year, for half of the year, I was probably making, and it wasn't a huge amount, maybe like £50 a month.
Yeah, but I want my odds to be like in the hundreds.
No, but that £50 a month was keeping me. Like it was paying for a takeaway. Do you know what I mean?
I get it. I want big odds.
Like the other week, I texted you and Ash and said I won 32 quid on the football, and all I did was put on 2 bets. Both had 3 teams in each accumulator, and
they came in.
Yeah, no, one had 2 because that one won 7 quid and the other one won 25.
Do I just say to everyone listening, by the way, if you do have an addictive personality, gambling is a very, very, very slippery slope. The dopamine hit is very, very addictive.
No, look, gambling addiction is a very serious issue. I've listened to so much stuff
please
about
do not to parrot the phrase, but
and we've known people with gambling addiction.
Please gamble responsibly. Only
when
do it
when the fun stops.
Don't bet an amount you can't afford to bet, and don't chase your losses. They're the 2 biggest advices I can give to people getting into gambling or trying gambling.
Because like end of last season, like I said, I was making a nice little income from betting. Nothing ridiculous, but just a nice little 50 quid here and there. And start of this season, I was like, oh yeah, I'll put a tenner in my account, and I think I did that 2 weeks in a row. Both weeks I lost the tenner, and I was like, I'm clearly overthinking it, or I'm not quite getting it right. So I stopped, and I left it for a few months.
Yeah, and look, you can afford to put £20 into your account.
The reason I stopped was because I was like, I can afford a tenner a month. I can't afford to be spending more than that per month.
Right, so don't be putting more in. Don't be spending more than you can afford to just do as disposable cash. And then also, don't go chasing the losses. Don't think, but if just this next one comes in, and if I just get 1 or 2, and
that's the second week, because I was like, I can win that tenner back, and then I overthought what I was choosing and got just fuck all. God, this cat is desperate to come into the room today.
I'm all for it. I don't want to let him in, but I'm all for it.
No, he's just a needy little bastard. What can I ask you? Have you seen the rise of the internet sensation that is the humble jacket potato?
No.
All right.
Because I'm not, like, despite the fact that I spend a lot of time scrolling,
it amazes me you don't watch shorts and stuff.
I don't like watching videos.
Do you not like watch YouTube or?
Shall I tell you when I watch YouTube?
Walk me through a day of yours.
Okay.
So like, say tomorrow, you're not working.
Yep.
Do you have plans tomorrow?
No. Well, yeah, a gym. Well,
no. But like, what's an average non-work day for Jake?
Okay, so I get up, probably pick up my phone.
What time we talking?
Check the messages. You know what? I don't think it bears.
No, I'm not going to judge you for it.
This morning, I woke up about 9, 9:15.
That's perfectly respectable.
Laid in bed for 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I did pick up my phone, opened Twitter. I've recently changed from my Twitter for you for the following page, which doesn't obviously have as much coming into it.
I do that sometimes.
Which is what I'm trying to work towards doing. Do you remember, like last year, I did like a week of social media blackout where I didn't touch it. I kind of want to work towards doing another week.
Okay.
Just absolutely no social media at all. So yeah, I flip through, check my messages, respond to the ones that are more immediate. Basically, there's only a couple of people that I'd be like, yeah, I should respond to this now. Check the emails, make sure there's nothing urgent that I need to respond to. Clear the inbox a little bit.
Bit of admin first thing.
Get up, go to the toilet. Okay, that's when I watch YouTube.
Okay.
And sometimes I've recently taken to be like, I don't even know if I need to watch YouTube. I can just start watching something on Disney Plus and just watch it excrementally over the course of a week or something.
Oh, what, like an
on
episode
Netflix
or
something? Yeah, just, little 5 minutes here and there while I'm doing my,
and what would that be?
My daily ablutions. Well, I don't know. I started watching the Fantastic Four cartoon from the 90s, but the first episode is garbage. It's done in a terrible way, and it's not encouraged me to come back and watch anymore. So I watch YouTube then.
Yeah.
Flick through the shorts then as well. Then I have a shower, brush my teeth, get dressed for the day. Go to the gym, walk down to the gym, walk back up to the gym.
Is it the one we used to go to?
On the corner, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will go for a walk, hour 20, hour and a half, get my steps in, get outside.
So wait a second, you go to the gym and then go for an hour and a half walk?
Yep.
Right.
It's nice to get out.
How long are you in the gym for?
About an hour.
Okay.
Then I go up the telegraph track, which is not a euphemism.
What's the telegraph track?
So it's at the top of Wallington, and it goes right. It's like a little back roads, private roads thing that goes. You can walk through to the Oaks Park.
Okay.
And it's where it was. The houses were originally put up there for like vets and stuff from the Second World War, but it's just farmland and stuff. So you go up there. There's like a family that's got goats, chickens, rabbits. Then you got horses, sheep. If you go all the way to the end, at one end there's like cows.
Okay.
I've
never heard of
It's
this.
a lovely little
track.
thing. Sometimes I go all the way up to the Oaks and the cafe, and I'll have a coffee, and I'll have that on my walk back. Then I get home, have some lunch.
What does lunch look like? Is it just a sarnie or?
No, I'm quite partial to poached egg on toast. I've got the time.
Did you have breakfast?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not a breakfast person. So I have lunch. Then, if there's anything I want to watch, I'll sometimes watch it. Or if there's chores, I'll try and find the motivation to do those chores. Sometimes I just dive off and do a million other things because that's what I do.
Yeah. Are you gaming at any point?
No, not really. That was something that I took up for like a month once and was like, I'm over it. I've done
Fair
it.
enough.
Might read. Get lost in a book or two.
I don't know what it is. I sort of just picture you a bit like John Travolta in that meme, just sort of walking around with your hands together.
Yeah, the
just
Pulp
sort of
Fiction.
pottering around.
And then I'll have a shave because the hot water's kicked in. I know I can have a shave. Then I'll
shave every day.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Uh-huh. It grows very fast and it's white.
Fucking hell.
I don't like it. Also, 2-day shave you can get away with.
Shaving every day.
3-day shave is a pain in the arse. Then I do my Duolingo.
What are you learning at the moment?
I've recently added a fourth language.
Fourth, of course. You haven't mastered any of them yet.
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
Checks out.
French, Spanish, German, and Italian.
Fair enough.
See. Grazie. Then I'll probably sit there scrolling social media for a bit.
Yeah.
Not really doing much of muchness. And then I will normally go out, or I'll go downstairs and have some dinner and watch some TV. There's usually football. Oh no, I'll just go downstairs.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's pretty much a day in my life for the most part.
That's fair.
But I don't really watch videos.
No.
Is my point.
I watch a lot of videos.
Yeah, we live very different lives that way.
I think we live very different lives
do.
in general.
But there'll be times.
Like the fact it shocked me. Like, the idea of someone going to the gym and then for an hour and a half walk afterwards for me is just insane.
And I also but I know for a fact there's sometimes I'll see like a clip from an interview and something. I know you've probably listened to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the full hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. I'm just not giving it that time.
Watching an hour and a half podcast is a daily thing.
Depends what time I go for my walk. Sometimes I listen to the radio.
Yeah.
And sometimes I listen to a podcast. Sometimes music. It's kind of a mix between all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my time to listen to podcasts is when I'm out walking.
And my podcasts vary, by the way.
I can imagine.
Like from ancient history.
Walk me through a day off for you. What's a day off?
It's pretty much very little happens, to be honest. I
took you through point to point to my morning ablutions. I think you can indulge.
I mean, I think I get up. I normally shower every other day. So if it's a shower day, I normally shower straight away.
Yep.
I've normally pooed immediately in bed.
It does happen though. You sort of. It's just the first thing your body does.
Mine's pretty scheduled now. Like the first thing now.
Me too. Normally, when I wake up, that's what I need.
Yeah, and if it's a shaving day, it'd be shave and shower first thing. Get up. Sometimes have breakfast. It depends what we've got in the house and if I fancy eating. Because some mornings I just feel a bit queasy and even on days off, like so today, I was up at 5:30. I just wake up early. And
Yeah, horrendous existence, my man. You have my sympathy.
well, it's not. I'm engaging with the world. I'm engaging with content. Do you know what I mean? And I'm also tired and depressed. Do you know what I mean?
And that's why you've been able to watch shows quicker than I have.
Well, yeah, like the one I was texting you about before the pod is my most favourite at the moment, which is Invincible. And it's just had the finale, and I watched it, and I was like, I bet you he hasn't fucking watched it. And I was up so early that I was like, oh, it's Invincible Day, it's Thursday. Pull up Prime, and it's like, no, it still hasn't been released yet. It gets released in 20 minutes.
And yet for me, yeah, so woke up today, went to the gym, came back, went for a walk. I only did an hour walk because I knew I was coming here, and I wanted to get back and have lunch. So that's it. Walked, come back, have lunch, and then I was on. Yeah. I was gone.
But normally on a day off, I'm sitting, chilling in the kitchen, smoking most of the day. Watching videos, watching films, watching TV. And I'll go around my sister's usually at some point because she doesn't live far. And go have a chat with her, hang out for a bit, and then I come back. Normally eat when I get back from my sister's. Like normally I'll go around hers late morning, early afternoon, have something to eat when I come back. This morning it was a reverse. I ate before I went out because I knew there wouldn't be enough time once I'd come back before the pod.
What are you going for? What should you go to?
I had a pot noodle this morning.
Okay.
But I've got more into recently the instant porridge pots.
Yeah.
For breakfast, like before work, because it's slow release and it's not as bad for me. And they're normally quite cheap, the porridge pots.
They are pretty cheap.
If you get like the own brand one, they're like 45p.
I was going to say, I get Tesco's, they're like 50p,
Yeah. And all I do is I put normally in, I got into a thing for a bit of like a spoon of jam, because that's what I used to have when I was a kid, was porridge and jam. But normally it's just a bit of sugar.
So I ended up collecting them on my last trip, on my UK trip, because I was like, I'll have one just so I can have it like for breakfast in case we're running late one morning or whatever. But then I realised that I'm not that bothered if I miss breakfast because I'm not really a breakfast person.
No, see, I do quite like having breakfast usually. Like when my dad was still alive, bless him, quite regularly he would take me out in the morning because my mum's not a morning person. So me and him would go to a local, not even a local one, a cafe in Banstead. Quite often in the morning, and we'd normally have a fry up or something. Or
nice.
I mean, to be fair, he rarely had a fry up. I always did.
As is right.
And it was in an upmarket cafe as well, so it was.
Ooh.
And then so like, to be honest, my days off, there's not usually, and part of the reason why I watch a lot of videos and stuff is because I feel like it helps with the pod. I know that sounds ridiculous.
No,
but in terms of the breadth of stuff I'm trying to engage with.
Yeah.
And then it means sometimes there's weird stuff I can educate you on, or
you've
bring
got talking points, you've got opinions.
Most of the political stuff I watch is mainly for the pod, to be honest. Like I watch stuff like Joe Politics. The rest is politics sometimes. I've started watching, even though I think it's a bit dry, the rest is entertainment. Because I do like Richard Osman, but he's not the most charismatic of people. Do you know what I mean?
Did you see the debate about Stephen Hendry being cool?
No, I didn't see that one. I couldn't give a shit about snooker or anything, so I probably just didn't watch it.
And he responded and basically sort of was like, said, "Oh yeah, I'm really cool," but was really sarcastic about it the whole way through.
Right, okay.
And she was like, "He's basically proven my point," and he was like, "What are you talking about? He said he was cool."
Yeah, the reason I enjoy watching that one is because at least with Richard Osman and with her as well, they've both worked
behind the scenes.
Yeah, so they have a lot of insight to.
Particularly Richard Osman's done a lot of light entertainment programming as well.
Yeah, so he sort of knows how it works, and there's all sorts of things you've never even thought of that goes on. And
well, I've always said, like, it changes sometimes the way you watch as a consumer, the way you watch a TV show. It does. But I've always said, and I love when people get invested in stuff, don't get me wrong, but I'm always like, they're not making they're making a TV show. So it's like, when you're watching like Britain's Got Talent or something, you're like, they're not making a talent competition. No, totally. They're making a TV show. We
talked about it with Joe.
They're not making a dating show. They're making a TV show. They're not trying to hook people up.
Maths, Married at First Sight.
Yeah,
the fact that it's not actually about making them.
No, God no.
I think I liked it for a few episodes when I first watched it because it was interesting, and then I, like you said, realised that because everybody they were setting up with one another was the opposite of what they wanted. There was this I'll never forget him, this fireman bloke, He was short, really good looking bloke, lovely.
But
like,
she said,
I want tall, dark and handsome. Otherwise, I'm not going to be interested. And they picked the literal opposite. And it didn't matter what this poor fucker tried. And he tried spending thousands on his wardrobe to make her impress, like everything he could think of.
Well,
and it,
do you know,
shocked to hear that they didn't work
the
out?
Australian one's just dropping now in the UK. And there's a guy on there who they put partnered with this woman. She's lovely. It's doing her self-esteem no good, by the way. And I did say when I watched a little bit of it with my partner, I said, like, the producers of the show have a real responsibility to look after this woman and make sure that she's... I know they're getting all the great shots of her being really upset and questioning herself and stuff, but they have a real responsibility to make sure that they look after her behind the scenes and make sure that she is getting the help she deserves.
That reminds me, you were angry at that Spanish Temptation Island, weren't you?
No, I wasn't angry at it. I don't...
You disapproved.
I don't know the appeal of it.
I mean, it's quite... People like drama. It's all the drama.
But, like, I don't know why you do it.
People, I think you underestimate how desperate for attention and a bit of fame people
I think I do.
Like, I've finished watching The Traitors, by the way. We can get onto that in a minute. And I've seen Alexander's now
he's on
presenter
Classic
FM.
FM. I love The Dragon. The Dragon?
The Dragon?
Because his surname is Dragonetti. All his friends in uni called him The Dragon.
Who's this?
Alexander.
Oh, so he's known as The Dragon.
He's known as The Dragon. So I've just taken it to be... I
didn't pick up on that at all.
I've just taken him to be in my head. He is now... He's one of the nicest people, by the way. I absolutely fucking adore that man.
He was a diplomat, wasn't he?
And the fact that, even though he didn't win, Mencap raised so much money from the public just by his story on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they raised like $100,000.
How did they do that?
Like, people just started donating after watching it and knowing that that's what he was going to give some of his winnings to.
Oh, I see.
They were like, people like, no, you know, let's. I'm going to give some anyway. It raised like $100,000 or something just because of his story.
That final episode, there was so much filler and bullshit. As soon as we knew, because it took like 20 minutes. We all knew what was happening. Yeah. And it took 20 minutes for it to finally happen. I was like, can we just fast forward through this?
Well, once Frankie had found Charlotte and said she's a traitor, they'd condemned them both because the group, to be safe, had to get rid of both of them.
I didn't realise that's what happened at the end, was that they could just continue whittling it down.
Until it comes down to 2.
Yeah, and like, I did think, like, you're all wankers, do you know what I mean?
Well, do you know what? That's why I learned something.
And this is where I feel completely vindicated in my accusation that getting off the train was a dickhead move. Because the only reason Alexander ends up getting voted out was because there was iffy things about him, which started with him coming back into the game. Whereas if he'd have been there from the beginning, he wouldn't have got voted out for being suspicious.
I had a realisation. So we've now watched I've watched 3 seasons of the UK one.
Yeah.
One of American, one of UK, one of Australian. The Australian one, by the way, they had a sidekick in. It's good. And they had a guy who would literally... Do you know at the round table there's certain people that always come in and go...
There's a fucking fox asleep on the grass, mate.
I can't see that from here.
Gone.
No, I've got a curtain cutting across.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Do you know when someone just catches you in the corner? You're like, wait a fucking second.
That's a fox.
That's a fox. Sorry, continue. You're watching the Australian version.
Disgusting! Watching the Australian version, and there was another guy as well who was like, traitors, he called them, and he literally would come down to breakfast every morning and go, guys, can I just say something? I just want to make a speech real quick. And everyone's like, I don't trust this dude. That's really suspicious behaviour. Why do you need to say something every morning? He was just a dick.
The thing is, I'm sure if you took all of these knobheads outside of the traitor's house, they've all got brain cells to rub together, but something about putting them in, like, inside that house makes people behave like dickheads.
I just want to get back to this as well, because I will come back to this Australian one. So I had a revelation.
Go on.
2 revelations. One, in the 5
There's
seasons
only one
of Traitors,
in the Bible. That's impressive.
In the 5 seasons that I've seen, it's clear to me, and it might change with me watching another UK one or another Australian US one, that the only reason the Faithful ever won is because there was intervention from the producers or intervention of some kind.
Yeah, so like Charlotte would have won if the Seer...
Charlotte would have 100% won. Even if the Seer picked someone else, she'd have been in the final and she'd have taken it all.
And I don't think... Because saying that though, I think she'd have still got... I don't think she would have won because of Freddie. Freddie voting for her was one of the key reasons why they end up voting her out.
I think, well, Frankie as well.
I think she actually did quite well to battle that, to be honest.
But, well, they had to banish them both.
Yeah.
It's the only way to be sure. But
See, I don't.
season 1, Kieran threw Wilf under the bus.
Yeah.
Season 2, Harry won as a traitor. And in the Australian one and the American one, the first
what
series.
season's that? Because I might watch that to see how the traitor won.
Harry, he's amazing. Series 2.
Series 2.
Series 2,
I
he's
might go back
amazing.
and watch
And
that.
the woman who he robs in the final still hasn't spoken to him.
Do you know what, though? As we've said before, I think the contestants take it far too
Personally and seriously, it's a game.
However, the final one, I would take that more personally because of some of the behaviour. Like I didn't think they should have voted Frankie out. I didn't think there was enough. I wouldn't have voted her out.
It's the only way you can
personally.
be sure, though. If you're just playing the odds, it's the only way you can be sure. Because
Yeah,
either her or Charlotte
the only
are a
reason
traitor.
I would agree with that is because Charlotte didn't have to say whether she was a traitor or not, did she? Because
No.
at that point,
No.
but I personally, genuinely, at the moment where they were like, "Oh, if you throw the green, everyone wins." For me, what it clearly came across like, they were trying to spin it as we want to be safe. It was more, we want less people to split the fucking money with. And actually, that was another thing. I thought the pot at the end was quite measly for 4 weeks of giving up your life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, look, they're both getting nearly 50 grand each for it. But I was a bit like,
You want more.
yeah.
But I realised as well in the
And
Australian
also, how
one,
Jake got to the final just off of calling Linda out for the most obvious thing in
because
the world.
most of them are so lovely in the Australian first series.
Yeah.
When it got to the final, and it was really heartbreaking watching the faithful lose, I was like, shit, I don't know if I could be a traitor. I've always got along going, I could be a traitor, it's a game. But
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
him in that moment, I was like, fuck, I don't know if I could do that. He's such a lovely bloke. I don't know if I could do that to him. But there was a guy in the Australian one, and it's so amazing, because he every now and then he just pops up and you're like, who the fuck's this guy? Like, we've not seen any of him. There's a reason. There is a guy in it who hardly appears in the whole series. It's a British guy.
Yeah.
And apparently, so he used to do, and he did it in like his first entrance, Austin Powers impression. He used to come in,
Is it because constantly he was being inappropriate?
it was because he used to constantly point out the production of the crew and stuff. So he would, in every shot, he'd make reference to the cameraman, or he'd, like, apparently there was a conversation between 3 of them. So because I read a transcript of a podcast with one of the other contestants. He said there was a conversation between the 3 of us. He said it was really good. There was like some really good theories thrown out, and he's like, I'm fairly certain. He said, obviously you don't know for sure. He's like, I'm fairly certain that would have made the cut. He said, but halfway through he just pointed to the cameraman and like made a comment about him and was like, come on cameraman, come in, get this all or whatever. And it was unusable.
Yeah.
And he did that every time.
Yeah.
So he made it to like the final 6 or something, and then he just
people were like, who the fuck is this guy?
yeah, so all the contestants obviously knew, and every now and then his name would come up on the board, but the people watching had just never fucking seen this dude.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's a really interesting dilemma for the production team. How do you get around that?
I don't know.
Keep
I don't
pushing
think
for him to
it
be
was.
murdered. You're like, kill him.
Well,
kill
I
him.
don't think it's necessarily unusable because he points at a camera. People know cameras are there.
I know,
Do
but
you know what I mean?
you're meant to be in the moment, and he kept making reference to the fact that this is a TV show, but you're meant to buy into it, even though you know it's a TV show. You as the audience are meant to buy into the world of it. If he keeps bringing down the boom mic and going, "Come on, cameraman, get in, get this,"
Yeah.
it ruins. You know, it's hard to suspend the.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think we've gone on a lot on stuff we probably weren't gonna.
No, I wasn't intending to talk about the traitors.
Can I tell you something fun then?
Please do.
2. I'm going to tell you 2 fun things.
Lay it on me.
Maybe 3. Depends on what we are for time.
Oh, we've got about 20 minutes.
So Elaine Smith, who is an actress, a comedic actress and a comedian, she's a Scottish Glaswegian. She was in like Rhapsody, Nesbitt and
Oh,
stuff.
aye.
She took a cattle and grazed it in the centre of Glasgow
Right.
because she was given the freedom of Glasgow. And you know, one of those like silly traditions, like, oh, that means you can graze cattle in the centre. And so she was like, no, if I can graze cattle, that's exactly what I'm going to fucking do. And I've got a lot of respect for that.
I have a question. Did she own cattle beforehand?
I think she borrowed the cow.
Right.
But it's like when people, if you get the freedom of London, you can like walk sheep across Tower Bridge. Like, it's like that would be like someone going, if I can walk sheep across Tower Bridge, I'm gonna fucking do it. Lend me some sheep.
Who wants the ball ache of doing that?
Lend me some sheep. I'm doing it.
You wouldn't take a cow to Glasgow just because you could.
I'd get the cow from near Glasgow. I wouldn't take it up with.
I wouldn't be getting on. That's too much admin.
I'm not going to. You said getting on the train with a cow.
I just don't see you pulling that off.
But if you've got the right to do it, I respect the fact that she did it.
Yeah.
She was like, "What's a weird tradition that comes with the city? I'm doing it." This one as well, which I think bears discussing actually. Although we've missed an opportunity to discuss something that you were going to bring up, which is maybe a shame. Maybe we'll go back to it to finish on time-wise.
Okay.
A 4-year-old boy in Wisconsin phoned 911.
Yeah.
Phoned for the police after his mum ate his ice cream. The police came round to teach him a lesson about only using 911 for emergencies and teaching him what an emergency is. I think that is an emergency.
Did they slap his mum?
Do you know what I mean? She's clearly the bad guy in this piece.
So what did they do to teach him about?
Well, they sort of came around and were like, you can only use it for real emergencies.
Right,
as far as I'm concerned, I'm 4 years old. I'm like, that's an emergency. This bitch ate my ice cream.
Look, it's not cool. But no, if I was the police, I'd have shot his mum in the leg and been like, now you can phone us.
See, this is an emergency,
this is
kid. This is an emergency.
For, you little bitch. Or do you know what I'd have done? I'd have given him a new ice cream cone and just as he's about to eat it, smack it out of his hand. How does that feel? Yeah.
Go into his room and take his toys and be like, now you've been robbed. That's an emergency. That you can call us for.
Yeah.
You little bitch.
Yeah, you make me sick.
No, but I still
I hope
get
they
it.
spat at him.
I mean, American police are bad.
Also, his mum squeezed him out of his vag. If she wants to have a bit of his ice cream, she can have a bit of his ice cream.
I just find it,
Look, famously, I don't like sharing food.
No.
I'm pretty sure you don't like sharing food.
It's not a strength.
How are you with that? If you and your lovely lady friend go out for a meal,
well, I've got an advantage, haven't I?
she's gluten free, isn't she?
She's gluten free. So if there's anything on my plate that's
go for
contained,
gluten.
I don't
You
naturally
smother
always
it in gluten.
That's just breadcrumbs.
You have a gluten shaker.
Just little breadcrumbs everywhere. I'm like, more wheat, please.
Sir, do you know it says gluten free on this meal? Can you make sure it isn't?
Yeah, can you just the only way to change that?
Yeah.
I noticed you said you're quite accommodating with allergens. I was just wondering if you could make some of the gluten-free menus contain gluten.
Yeah, just not hers.
No, so look, yeah, I've got an advantage of if there is anything glutinous on my plate,
it's yours.
it's mine and mine alone.
That's fair. I sort of have a similar thing. Leanne can't eat chicken.
Yeah.
So I get all the chicken.
Chicken? And also, to be fair, she doesn't eat a lot. So she's... When we go out, maybe it's a bit different, but there'll often be like bits left over. It's perfect.
It's perfect for you.
It's the dream.
It's your dream.
I remember when we went to America.
Do you know, if I found out you hadn't bought her a meal yet, it wouldn't shock me.
I remember when Al joined us in America and we were stuck in the middle of nowhere in California. And we went to this restaurant. It was like the only restaurant around.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at the menu and it was like my turn to pick up the bill. And I was like, fuck me, this is extortionate. I was like, we can't go anywhere and it's my turn to pick up the bill. But when I don't know whether they'd done it deliberately because they'd also seen it and knew that it was my turn to pay. But when they were kind of like, oh, I'm not that hungry, I might just have, a small start or something. I was like, thank the Lord. Because I couldn't face the idea of someone being like, do you know what? I'm going all in. I want starter, main, dessert.
To be honest with you, that's one of the reasons why I'm fundamentally against like that sort of thing.
You just want to pay for your own.
Yeah, because I don't want to resent my mates.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, I remember, like, I'm going to call Alex out. He tried to do this once where, and I don't think he was doing it to be malicious or anything like that. Disgusting! No, brother.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, load it up for what I'm about to
Okay.
tell you. So me and Ash, when we used to go on nights out, we always used to do the thing where if you went to Weatherspoons, there was a point where you could get 2 pints, 2 Jaeger bombs, and most of the time it was just under a tenner, or by the end it was a tenner for those drinks. So we just would take turns going and doing that on a night out. And one night Alex was, he got involved with it, or wanted to get involved with it, and we'd both bought drinks, and then suddenly he'd bought us a drink and he'd had beer, like us. And then when it was our turn to buy him a drink, suddenly he was like, oh, can I have this drink? And I can't remember what it was, but it was nearly double the price of the beers. And I went, no, you can fuck right off. You're not getting that, because that's not what, you know, when you were paying, you didn't do that. And I don't think he was doing it
deliberately.
But I was like, no. That's not how this works. We buy, this is what we buy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just fundamentally against that.
Yeah, well, we had to change.
Same as if you're all going out for a meal. I don't expect anyone to share. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm a big believer in you just pay for your own thing.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
don't, you just add up what you've had,
Yeah.
add a gratuity
like,
or whatever,
I've
and
heard
that's
Ash
it.
talk about how you, Alex, and him handle like paying for stuff. And
The thing is, it weirdly it kind of evens itself out.
that's what he said, but I've got to be honest with
it
you.
does.
When I listened to it, it didn't sound like it. If
The
I'm
only
being
time
honest.
I threw a little paddy and it did it like 'cause it weren't was Alex and Ash obviously drink quicker than I do and
A lot more. Yeah, that's
So
the
when
only
we were
problem
doing
drinking with
when we were
Ash.
doing rounds, it was getting. We weren't even doing rounds. It'd be like I'd get this drinks in this bar, you get the drinks in that bar. What it would be is like, hang on, I'm only having like 2-3 beers,
Yeah,
and you guys are having double,
yeah,
and it's like I'm now paying for yours twice as much,
Yeah.
yours twice as much,
Yeah.
and when it comes to me being paid for, I'm getting half the benefit. So I was like,
and do you know
no.
what avoids all
said,
of that?
I'll do it with the food, and it does work itself out. Honestly, it does. But that's because me, Ash, and Al, we eat a similar type of food. We eat a similar amount of
Yeah.
food. Like it just.
But I just
just
don't want to be in
balances
the
out.
position where I'm like, oh, you know, we went Harvester yesterday and we're now in this restaurant and I've got to pay, and all of that's avoided by if we just pay for ourselves.
I'm a big believer in just paying for yourself. I
Yeah.
like always. I really, really am.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in that whole split the check.
And this is a conversation I've had with Ash, by the way, like when we've been on the way to Lindsay's. And we're going to Lindsay's, by the way, next month for
Are
a
you?
few nights, yeah.
When are you going?
I think it was around the 11th.
Just so I'm aware of when you're away.
Yeah. You might, depending on what I'm working that week, you might have to do a pod without me. I know.
Sacrilege.
You might have to phone up Big Gay Al.
Perish the thought. Might try and get Alan back on.
Why not?
Because he didn't do very well at the awards.
No, he didn't. I'll have to leave you an award to give him a pity award.
Yeah, no.
I'll just give him the one you didn't take.
Did I take any?
No. That's what I'm saying.
I leave things a lot. Like I
You
appreciate.
were like,
I
yeah, I'll just
forget
leave that
things.
here. And it was like, oh, okay.
Time check, my man. Time check. How long we got?
10 minutes?
Is that long enough for us to discuss your disdain for people that use snooze alarms?
I would say so. I don't think it's a subject that needs.
Because when we
Too
could have
much
segued
in-depth.
into it earlier when we were talking about morning people.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand it. I don't understand the logic of it. Like, you're not getting any benefit from it whatsoever.
I set 2 alarms and I snoozed the second one.
What's the point? Like, when you see people that are like, yeah, I have 5 alarms set for
No,
the
'cause the
morning.
first
How about
one-
just leave the last one on and get up then?
No, because the first one
What's
like,
with
gets
the,
me.
what's with the performance of, oh, every 10
I like
minutes
to go
I need
back to sleep. So I like
Yeah, but
to
you're
be
not
able to-
going back to sleep.
I
mate.
am.
No, you're not.
I am.
Yeah, but even if you are, which by the way, you're not getting into a full sleep.
No,
in
I'm not
10
going into the REM.
minutes.
That's what, if you get into that's dangerous.
But it's just pointless. What are you doing? And you're
Dreaming.
wasting time.
Enjoying, resting.
We're not here for very long, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I want to enjoy myself and I enjoy sleeping.
No, but the thing is, you're not enjoying that. What you would enjoy is another hour and a half in bed.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
another.
always.
And what makes even less sense for me is when someone has, like, if it's 2 or 3 snooze alarms, that means it's 20, 30 minutes. Just have the extra 20 minutes and set your alarm for the
Yeah, but
final alarm.
but that only works if you can get up first time. As soon as your alarm goes off, you can get up. I can't do that.
You can.
No, I can't.
You
I
can. You just
can't.
don't want to.
I can't because the second that I turn that alarm off, I'm rolling over for another 10, 15 minutes. And if I've not got an alarm...
Yeah, so you're choosing to go back to sleep.
so if I don't have that snooze...
So it's not that you can't, you're choosing
No, I can't.
not
I have
to.
no choice. I have no choice. Physically,
Absolute nonsense.
I cannot just get
No,
up first time of
you
asking.
can't physically. Oh, no. Oh, I'm paralysed. I'm paralysed to the bed.
I am paralysed
I
to
need
bed.
that second alarm for my body to finally
I am a
work.
slave to my physical urges.
But I've
as
got
well
enough
many people
energy
know.
to turn over.
I'm just saying, I am incapable of getting up first time of asking, first alarm, let's get
Nonsense.
up and go. I'm just not.
Just nonsense.
I need one to wake me up out of the deep sleep, and then I get to go, okay, great, now I'm going to go back and have another half hour. That's how far I spread mine out.
It's insane.
Half hour is not dangerous. Half hour, I'm not going to go back
Actually
into a deep
insane.
sleep.
It's actually insane.
What do you do every morning? You just one alarm?
Yeah.
And then what, you just up?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get up at like 5:30 anyway, even if you didn't have an alarm.
I don't even... Yeah. Today, I didn't have an alarm, mate. My body wakes me up at 5:30. Actually, it woke me up about 4. Go for a piss, got back into bed, flicked on my phone for a bit. I think I maybe dozed for 10 minutes. But that's a day off. If it's a work day, I'm not staying in bed. I just get up.
And I can't do that.
And quite often I'm up at like 3 in the morning, mate.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
And my alarm goes off, I sit up and get out of bed and get dressed.
No, that's like a cartoon or something. Like you just sit up and go.
No, it's just called fucking being an adult.
It's not human-like.
It actually is, mate.
It's not.
Yeah. You're just some sloth who...
I am.
Oh, I need an extra 10 minutes. It's like...
Look, my body... Look, mentally, I'm always on the go. Okay, so I'm not tired as a result of that. For example, I didn't realise that it was a weird... or not weird, but I didn't realise that it was uncommon to be able to lucid dream.
Okay.
Like to control your dreams and to be able to just pick up a dream and go into it and also to remember dreams. Like I frequently remember my dreams. I frequently control my dreams. Like I control my dreams sometimes.
I think that comes with age though, because I think when you're younger, like I used to get a lot of nightmares, and I quite often now a dream will be starting to go that way,
and you turn it away.
Yeah. But I think you gain that ability.
But as in, like,
as you get
I can
older.
start a dream. Like, I can literally create a dream for myself and jump into it. And that's, if you could do that, amazing. But we are not in the majority on that.
What I've done before, it'll be sort of, if I'm doing it at the point of I'm about to drop off, if I'm thinking of a certain narrative or something
then
like
your
that.
brain rolls with it.
But I'm never quite what I would describe as fully asleep, because there's an alertness to you controlling what's going on.
Well, that's the problem. So, like, I will lay down of a night and I will quite frequently be like, right, I need a dream to get me started. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I will create a scenario. I will create the dream in my head and then let my subconscious take over. But I will start the dream. And
no, see, for me, a good night is I haven't had any dreams.
No, but that's the problem. I never have that. So my brain is always working. So it is always going.
I can, if you ask Leanne, most of the time if we lay down to go to sleep, and part of that is the fact I feel safer with Leanne in the bed. Like when you're with your partner and you're comfortable with them, you do just feel more relaxed. I will just, almost as soon as my head hits the pillow, and Ash is sort of like that as well. But he hates me. Like when we go Lindsay's, I like to have something on that I can't hear as I'm going to sleep.
No, what? You can't have a big thing about alarm clocks and then drop that fucking bombshell.
So, for example, like me and Leanne will go to bed. We'll put a Harry Potter film on.
Yeah.
To be fair, if she's in bed, it will be on like maybe number 4 in terms of the volume, maybe 6.
Okay.
So you can just about hear it. But if I'm in bed alone, Harry Potter might be on, but I can't hear it.
So you don't want background. You don't want background noise. You want background sight. You want background light.
But I'll quite often turn away from the television.
That makes no sense. Like nothing about that makes sense.
No, look, that doesn't make sense, and I'll hold my hands up to that. And it really annoys Ash.
It would annoy me too.
But to be fair, what Ash said was, you don't take long to fall asleep. So as soon as you fall asleep, I'll just turn it off. He said, I've just got to wait 5 or 10 minutes and you're gone.
Well, that was my problem with not to drag Al again. I was getting a lot of dragging in this episode. Not to drag Al again, but that was my problem with Al when he listened to Harry Potter, is that he'd fall asleep like that.
Yeah. So he doesn't actually need it.
And he doesn't have a timer either. He doesn't put it on a timer. So we've just got to spend all night listening. He falls asleep after 2 minutes, and we've got to, listen to a mixture of snoring and, good grief, cried Harry for 4 in the morning. It's just not on.
No.
It's not on.
No, I don't think you should enforce your sleeping habits.
And yet you do on Ash. And Leanne.
No, but like, Ash is cool with it. No, Leanne likes having something on in bed. I'm not forcing anything upon Leanne. And she likes being able to hear it. So that's why we have it on a little, like there's a middle ground. Do you know what I mean? It's not on full volume. It's on just about, you can hear it. But she also knows once I fall asleep, if she can't sleep, she can turn it up. And
yeah, so Ash has learned to adjust to it, but you are
Well,
forcing
no,
it
to be
upon
fair,
him.
the last time we went to Lindsay's, the NFL was on like almost every night.
So he said,
So he was staying up watching the NFL. As soon as I fell asleep, he'd turn off whatever I was watching
and just put on NFL.
Put on the NFL, yeah.
Yeah, I watched the NFL I watched the Super Bowl in Steph's mum and dad's house this year. That was a bit weird. I was like the only one up.
Really?
Yeah. Just
I definitely wouldn't have done that in someone's house on my own.
and yeah, I did.
Yeah. No, I've only stayed up to watch the Super Bowl once, and that was with you and Dave, Mia, and them lot when we went.
No, yeah, I do. I love it.
I just don't really get it.
But I watch the early games of the NFL. I don't watch the late games. Maybe the 9 o'clocks, but nothing beyond that.
No, Ash was like staying up to middle of the night watching.
Yeah, I'm not watching all of those. I remember when we were in LA as well, and he was like, Liverpool were playing at like 4 a.m. local time. And I was like,
Palace could be playing.
I was like, I'm not getting up for that.
I'll be sleeping.
I'm not getting up for that. I mean, do you know what? In the
only
end,
time I'm up during the night is for sex or if I'm being paid for it, or both.
Or both, as a combination. Yeah. I mean, in the end, I did wake up and just watch it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not getting up for it. That's just not happening. Like you said, even if it was Palace.
No.
I love
the
Palace.
only exception I'd make if it was like Palace in a final.
Yeah, but not like a league game.
No,
like
not just to watch them play Fulham. Do you know what I mean?
That's too soon. I don't want to talk about Fulham.
Why? What happened?
Can't get tickets.
Oh, that was accidental. I did see your tweets about that.
Yeah.
What is it that's going on?
Quarterfinal.
What, of the
FA Cup?
One you can't get a ticket.
Oh.
Happens, isn't it?
But I'll tell you what, I've got to compensate just to give it one play.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Which I still don't understand. I still don't know.
No, when I showed you it, or played it for you, you were like, I don't understand the reference.
No, because that,
Brother,
I get it. I've got history with it.
Yeah.
I thought we'd created it.
Did you?
Yeah. Like when I was on my training trip and people using it.
Oh, you told me.
And I was like, cool. I don't really understand it, but we've come up with a new thing. I like it. It was being used in the same context. I was like, great. And then about 3 months later, someone showed me this TikTok. I was like, it's a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, I think it was. I could be completely wrong about this. I'm pretty sure it's some Muslim men, and I think they're quite traditional in their views.
He's like, why, brother? Oh, brother.
Yeah,
brother,
yeah. The whole clip is like, why, brother?
Yeah. But I didn't. I was like, wow, I've been quoting pop culture.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
Well,
I'm
that's
that disconnected from pop culture.
Yeah. So clearly our algorithms are very different.
Oh my God, so different. I would, if I went on TikTok, because you predominantly use the TikTok.
Yeah, and I end up using the CrossingSwords one all the time.
I would love to, and I don't have my own one.
No, but if you went on the CrossingSwords one, it would give you.
I know.
What I've been
so
watching.
I every now and then I'm curious to just go and see the shit you've been watching.
You'll see stuff from a podcast called The Butterfly Project, which is a conspiracy podcast. You will see Asian people and their lunches at work. You'd probably see Pokemon cards. What else is there? You'd probably see some football chat. For some reason, it keeps trying to give me Joey Barton as well, and I've never actually watched a single one of his clips. I think it just assumes
every now and then
I'm a fan of Joey
something
Barton.
pops up on your algorithm, or like a suggested follow or something. You're like, what have I done on this platform?
Yeah, what have I done to deserve?
That's the thing.
Yeah, like no one wants to watch Joey Barton.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd see lots of stuff like that. I watch a lot of outdoor camping stuff as well.
It's an eclectic mix. It is an eclectic
It's like
mix.
my music taste. It's all over the gaff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same as like my taste in films.
It's
like,
Jay-Z to Green Day.
The only Jay-Z I like is the Linkin Park
It's
song.
to be honest, a personal reference to when I was at school in sixth form and someone lost their iPod and they put an advert for it and they were like, it's got music from Jay-Z to Green Day, and I was just like, okay, cool.
It looks like this.
Basically, that was the ad.
Yeah.
That was the appeal.
But yeah, bro, I think we podded, you know.
Yeah, boy.
We've come in under time. Do you know what I mean?
As I often do. Because
I'm fast as fuck, boy. Yeah, you are.
You told me it's just the dude running in the woods, keep shouting, I'm fast as fuck, boy.
I actually didn't know what the original thing was until I downloaded
found
because I'd just seen it used in. Normally, it's like used in like funny animal videos. That'd be something else you'd find on the algorithm.
Okay.
There's lots of funny animal videos. There's this. I'm gonna assume it's a black man voicing pets. Like, and he'll do a dub over like what they're doing, and it's hilarious. And
I'll keep an eye out.
you should just go on on our Crossing Swords TikTok and watch some videos.
I'm not.
Stop saying I'm a man. You were about to say I'm a man.
I was,
in my
and
30s.
I changed it, and I changed it.
Yeah, and I'm also a man in my 30s.
And I changed it because I'm just not
quick enough.
I'm not chronically online. I don't know all the things that are happening. I've accepted that there's now just generations of things.
There's
that I know
nothing you
about.
can learn from books that you can't learn from TikTok.
I have never, as I age, the more and more I relate to the Grandpa Simpson bit when he says, I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was. It happened to me, and it will happen to you too. And I feel that in my bones.
Yeah, but I have that with music. I'm not good with keeping up to date with the latest music.
Do you know what? I've been really into like Chapel Roan lately. Exactly. And Sabrina Carpenter. I've kind of been on like a Chapel Roan Sabrina Carpenter thing lately.
I like her. The music I've heard on...
I had like Chapel Roan Pink Pony Club in my head for like a month.
No idea what those words mean.
Just listen to it. It's really good.
I'll take your word for it. The only like latest music I've listened to is a guy called Talk, or he's part of a group called Talk. And it's this big dude. He's got a really nice voice.
But that's the thing, and that's the benefit of me doing what I do, I suppose, is that I interact with young people. Therefore, I put out a playlist.
The problem is, unless you're doing it
to?
professionally, a man my age interacting with young people is frowned upon.
It depends how you do it. I mean, if you take the Michael Jackson approach, very much.
I occasionally talk to young people at work that are colleagues, but
to establish ground rules. Alex taught us that it's very important to establish ground rules if you're talking to children.
No, I try to avoid establishing any ground rules because it feels like you're leading them into something they don't want to be involved with.
Well, that's what the ground rules are for. That's what Alex informed me.
Well, Alex can claim that if he likes, but he claims all sorts of things. He's like the Donald Trump of our group. He's just less aggressive.
I wish he was.
He's just
no,
less
I don't.
aggressive.
I don't actually.
But in terms of, I don't know, at times the inflated ego we've seen on him.
He watches YouTube.
The crazy shit he comes out with at times. The ridiculous things we've seen him do.
Do you know what? I would love to do a thing where
I hear it on the grapevine. He has been pissed on. So
we should do some Alex quotes in the style of Donald Trump. You know, like, I speak Spanish. Actually, I speak very good Spanish.
I speak Greek.
Okay, I speak the best Greek. Okay, nobody speaks Greek like me.
I love all of it. The Greek people, Mykonos.
Because I just remember, I mean, we've both spoken about it before when he was like trying, that guy showed up.
I think he was Italian, to be fair.
He's Italian.
I'm going to have to stop speaking Italian.
I'll be like, I'm going to have to,
And he was like, but you can't speak Italian.
Never let that stop you.
It's a bit like the Colin Frizzle scene in Love Actually. He's like, well, you don't have a cute British accent, Colin.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I do.
My name's Colin Frizzle, and I've got a big knob.
I think of no better way to end it. Obviously, we're going to have to presumably
I'm going to do the socials because we haven't got 10 minutes for you to do them. So just point at the screen for us. Guys, you can find us on... I'm about to fuck it up. On Twitter at Swords Crossing, on Facebook at Crossing Swords, on TikTok and Instagram at CrossingSwords_podcast. And if you want to contact us directly, you can email us at CrossingSwords19@gmail.com. And also just do us a quick favour. If you're liking this episode, drop us a like wherever you're listening. If you've got a spare few minutes on your hands, you could do us a massive favour. Click the link in the description of the audio episode for our YouTube page. Click on any episode, but particularly the most recent one. Click like, drop us a comment, even if it's just to call us cunts. We don't care. We just need engagement. We need your help. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.